Was it in poor taste for Alex Golesh to say, hey, you can play South Florida? I used to be a coordinator there during the good old days. Was that in poor taste, or Caleb, was that par for the course?
I think it was par for the course because I think Alex Golesh is, again, he's doing what you should do if you're at a school like South Florida and what Danny White was right to do when he was at a school like UCF. South Florida has, for those who don't know, South Florida and UCF actually used to have a big rivalry. And South Florida was on the rise first as a program. They got into the Big East while UCF was just getting into the Conference USA. And then UCF made a few investments and changes, and now UCF is the more big-time program than South Florida. So South Florida is trying to get back on UCF's level. That's a real jockeying position there to be the fourth power program in the state of Florida, and UCF's winning that battle. Alex Golesh would love Tennessee to go to the Bay, as he said. And here's the crazy part. I think they should.
It's never going to happen.
Can I play a 3D chess game with you, Dave, real quick? Tennessee should schedule a home and home with USF and do everything they can to help prop up USF as a program. Because again, UCF is getting big as a program. The more programs that are big time in Florida, the better for Tennessee, because the more watered down recruiting is for Florida, for the Gators at that moment.
Okay. Well, wait a second. Prop them up. No, you need to go down there and beat them as bad as you can to show that it wasn't Alex Golesh's offense. It was Josh Heupel's offense.
Oh, you still beat them, but just playing them in a home and home could help South Florida build its program. The Bobby Bowden method. Florida State built itself up as a program. They played everybody on the road and got the hell beat out of them, but Bobby Bowden didn't care because he was still able to recruit in certain areas and get the program national television exposure.
I'm not crazy about the propping up thing.
I think you prop up. Guys, if you're a Tennessee fan, you should root for every school in Florida to be legitimately good, because the more Florida schools are good, the more the recruiting is watered down in that state. And that's a big deal.
Let's ask the question. What the H is that in poor taste by Alex Golesh? Do you like him a little bit less despite what he did at Tennessee in 2022? We'll ask you that question, brought to you by Work Trucks. Trucks that help you maximize your profits by having the right work vehicle now. Time is money. The perfect work vehicle, Work Trucks. Process quick and easy when choosing a vehicle for work trucks. Cargo vans, utility bodies with an app-hide work bodies installed. Pickup trucks of all sizes, and anything special like cranes or dump trucks. Service industry, remember Work Trucks. Work Trucks carries the trucks that your business has to have. You need Work Trucks. Clinton Highway in Knoxville, downtown Birmingham. They are fantastic. Check them out. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. David said Golesh gunning for Heupel's job. Sure he is. That would never work out because you wouldn't go to the well that you would just, if you got rid of Heupel. I mean, it would have to be a situation where Heupel goes to the NFL or something, right?
Yeah, probably. What if Golesh is, what if he wants to make the statement that it's his offense, not Heupel's? He's not gunning for Heupel's job. He's gunning for Heupel recruits.
Oh, well, I think he's trying to make that argument right now, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So I would do it. Also, a presence in Florida doesn't really hurt. Josh Heupel's got connections down there. A presence in Tampa, not a bad place. I mean, I know I just said that doesn't matter as much anymore, but I would consider a home and home with USF. I wouldn't rule that out. And South Florida is. And Unsung brings up a good point. They've played Bama and Miami. They love to play top tier schools down there, and they're trying their best to get themselves out there. So I think that you're talking about a coach who, look, let's call it what it is. What have we talked about in the past, Dave? Alex Golesh was the creativity behind a lot of Josh Heupel's offense. Now, it's Josh Heupel's offense and it's Josh Heupel's system. But I think Alex Golesh's creativity was the sizzle on top of it. It was the seasoning, basically. And right now, the offense has no seasoning. So it's cooked well, but it has no seasoning. And I think that,
Nice.
yeah, need a little bit of spice on it. And so I think Alex Golesh gave the spice. And I don't think there's anybody to give the spice right now. And I think it's a problem. And I think he knows that. Now, Alex Golesh is also, look, he went 7-6 2 years in a row. I think that South Florida thought they were going to take a step forward this past year, and they didn't. So I think there may be some concerns about him as head coach material. going forward. But he also played a tougher schedule. He played 2 top 10 non-conference teams in Alabama and Miami. But I don't know if it's in poor taste. I think it's I think if anything, Alex Golesh would like to show up Nebraska. What if he's gunning for the Nebraska job?
Well, he might, but I will tell you this. I did think it was in poor taste because you do it right after when obviously the athletic director is sensitive to that. The athletic director gave the coaching staff a chance at Tennessee when that was a little bit of a reach higher, wasn't it?
Yep, it was.
I just don't think you treat people like that publicly on social media. That's just me.
So you think Golesh was showing up Danny White?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. I haven't thought about that.
Maybe the two have a really playful relationship, but it just read like that to me.
Does this strike you more as a promo for his program tweet, or does this strike you as a Lane Kiffin troll tweet?
50-50, a little bit of both.
Okay.
Very Kiffin-like. Yes.
Very Kiffin. Okay. All right. So you think Alex Golesh is a miniature Lane Kiffin going forward?
Well, nobody's quite Lane, right? I mean, 15 years after your divorce, you typically don't post pictures of your ex-wife in Oxford. So nobody's quite Lane, but let's put it this way. He's more, maybe this is a poll question. He's more Lane than he is Heupel. You say that?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so Alex Golesh is more like, okay, that's a good one. Alex Golesh is more like.
We'll get that up there. Brought to you by our friends at Double D Piping Fire Protection Contractors. They provide around-the-clock service protecting their customers' lives and properties all the time. Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
A guy with a lot of jobs, but this one is the most important.
This is not government work. As such, I treat it with care and attention.
Until someone else calls. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones, BanksandJones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
A quick recruiting note before we take a look at that poll question. Hezekiah Harris, an edge rusher. He's a 4-star edge rusher committed to Auburn. He will now take an official visit on June the 20th to Knoxville. So it appears as if Tennessee is in on that, and that's brought to you by On3. And Caleb, I just don't see commits being nearly as strong as they used to be.
No, they're not nearly as strong. We'll keep tabs on that, but I agree. They're not nearly the same level. But we'll have to see how that one goes.
All right. It is time for stat of the day. Yes.
Let's stick on this for a minute with the Alex Golesh talk for a second. Because, 70% say he's more like Josh Heupel. 30% say he's more like Lane Kiffin. I agree with most of you guys. Lane Kiffin is kind of just one of a guy, but Unsung brings up rumors where Golesh and Heupel butted heads a lot in practice. Unsung, honestly, my response to that is good. Don't you want your coordinators butting heads or your coaches butting heads in practice with philosophies?
All the time.
I mean,
you want Alex Golesh to say, no, we're not doing that 2 tight end set. And you want Josh Heupel to say, no, we are, because that's working. Yeah. You want that feedback at all times. And I still say, and I sound like an old fuddy-duddy at times, but the John Chavis, David Cutcliffe battles were famous, but it was more over personnel than philosophy. Obviously, they coached opposite sides of the ball, a defense coordinator and offense coordinator. But Caleb, there's no question in my mind that you're better off with a good open set of minds that are providing feedback. Right now, what do they have with Joey Halsley?
They have a yes, sir, no, sir.
Yeah, it sure looks like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. You guys, a great book I encourage you guys to read is Doris Kearns Goodwin, Team of Rivals, about Abraham Lincoln's cabinet. Abraham Lincoln obviously felt a certain way about things when he was president, but he actually had Confederate sympathizers in his cabinet because he wanted to hear every single side before he took an issue, before he took a stance. And oh yeah, and it's that makes you better. It makes you better if you understand the side that you're opposing a lot of times.